The Battle of Poitiers was a major battle in the Hundred Years' War. It was fought on 19th of September 1356 in Noailles, near the city of Poitiers and Aquitaine in western France. Edward the Black Prince led an army of English, Welsh, Breton and Gascon troops, many of them veterans of the Battle of Crécy. They were attacked by larger French forces led by King John II of France, which included allied Scottish forces. In 1355, English King Edward III laid out plans for a second major campaign to France. His eldest son Edward the Black Prince, now an experienced soldier following the Crécy campaign, landed at Bordeaux and Aquitaine, leading his army on a march through southern France to Carcassonne. Unable to take the heavily fortified settlement, Edward withdrew to Bordeaux. In early 1356, the Duke of Lancaster led an army through Normandy, while Edward led his army on a great chevauchee from Bordeaux of August 8, 1356. Edward's forces met little resistance, sacking numerous settlements until they reached Loire River at Tours. They were unable to take the castle or burn the town due to a heavy rainstorm. This delay allowed King John II to attempt to pin down and destroy Edward's army. John, who had been besieging Brétaux in Normandy, organized the bulk of his army and Chartres in the known of Tours. In order to increase the speed of his army march, he dismissed between 15,000 to 20,000 of his lower quality infantry, just as Edward turned back to Bordeaux. The French rode hard and cut in front of the English army, crossing the bridge over the Vienne at Chevigny. Learning of this, the Black Prince quickly moved his army south. Historians disagree over whether the outnumbered English commander was seeking battle or trying to avoid it. In any case, after preliminary maneuvers and failed negotiations for a truce, the two armies faced off, both ready for battle, near Poitiers on Monday, September 19, 1356. English army consisted of approximately 2,000 longbowmen, 3,000 men-at-arms, and a force of 1,000 Gascon infantry. Like the earlier engagement at Crécy, the power of English army lay in the longbow. The French army was led by John II of France, and was composed largely of native French soldiers, though there was a contingent of German knights and a large force of Scottish soldiers. The French army at the battle comprised approximately 8,000 men-at-arms and 3,000 common infantry, though John had made a decision to leave behind the vast majority of his infantry, numbering up to 20,000, in order to overtake and force the English to battle. The English army's divisions were led by Edward the Black Prince, the Earl of Warwick, the Earl of Salisbury, Sir John Condros, and Captal de Buch. The French army was arrayed in the three battles of divisions. The vanguard was led by Dauphin Charles, the second by the Duke of Orleans, while the third, the largest, was led by the king himself. The fighting began with a charge of Forlorn Hope of 300 German knights, led by Jean de Clermont. The attack was a disaster, with the many knights shot down or killed by English soldiery. According to Froissart, the English archers then shoot their bows at the mass's French infantry. The Dauphin's division reached the English line. Exhausted by a long march in heavy equipment and harassed by the hail of arrows, the division was repulsed after approximately 2 hours of combat. The retreating vanguard collided with the advancing division of Duke of Orleans, throwing the French army into chaos. Seeing the Dauphin's troops falling back, Orleans' division fell back in confusion. The third and strongest division led by the king advanced fourth, and the two withdrawn divisions coalesced and resumed their advance against the English. Believing that the retreat of the first two French divisions marked the withdrawal of the French, Edward had ordered a force under Captal de Buch to pursue. Sir John Condros urged the prince to launch his force upon the main body of French army under the king. Seizing upon this idea, Edward ordered all his men-at-arms and knights to mount for the charge, while the Busscher's men, already mounted, were instructed to advance around the French left flank and rear. As the French advanced, the English launched their charge. The French, stunned by the attack and impetus, carried the English and Gascon forces right into their line. Simultaneously, the Busscher's mobile reserve of mounted troops fell upon the French's left flank and rear. With the French army fearful of encirclement, their cohesion disintegrated as many soldiers attempted to flee. Low on arrows, the English and Welsh archers abandoned their bows and ran forward to join the melee. Around this time, King John and his son Philip the Bold found themselves surrounded. As written by Froissart, an exiled French knight fighting with the English, Sir Denis Merbeke of Artois approached the king requesting the king's surrender. The king is said to have replied, "To whom shall I yield me? Where is my cousin the Prince of Wales? If I might see him, I would speak with him." Denis replied, "Sir, he is not here, but yield ye to me, and I shall bring you to him." The king handed him his right gauntlet, saying, "I yield me to you." Following the surrender of the king and his son Philip, the French army broke up and left the field, ending the battle. Following the battle, Edward resumed his march back to the English stronghold and Bordeaux. The demise of French nobility at the battle, only 10 years from the catastrophe at Crecy, threw the kingdom into chaos. The realm was left in the hands of the Dauphin Charles, who faced popular rebellion across the kingdom in the wake of the defeat. The French nobles brutally repressed the rebellion, robbing, despoiling, and pillaging the peasants' goods. Mercenary companies hired by both sides added to the destruction, plundering the peasant and the churches. Well, thank you very much for watching. That's it for today. Like it if you do, subscribe if you don't want to miss other videos. Thank you very much. Bye bye.